morning, good morning, and welcome to the Circuit Havana. Welcome to Jakarta. And this morning we're gathering here for the kick-off meeting of the Inter-University Consortium for Global Health. And we'll commence directly our remarks with a report first by Dr. Yodi Mahendra, IUCGH coordinator.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Federal Republic of Germany, Honorable Rectors and Deans, Consortium members institutions, Honorable Representative of our German partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered today for an important event, the kickstart of the Inter-University Consortium for Global Health. We know that global health today represents one of the key challenges for sustainable development. Global health is currently an important part of the Millennium Development Goals, and most likely it will remain to be an important part of the post-2015 development goals. Science plays a critical role for addressing global health, which is why contributions from academic institutions are much needed. That is why we feel it's very timely that global health has been chosen as one of the key areas to be developed within the framework of academic cooperations between Germany and Indonesia. Germany is a logical partner for Indonesia to collaborate in global health. Germany has been playing an increasingly important role in global health. The Federal Chancellor has facilitated high-level dialogues on global health policies by hosting the World Health Summits in Berlin annually. The federal government has developed a clear global health strategy entitled Global Gesundheitspolitik gestalten, to shape global health politics. And academic institutions in Germany have contributed substantially, such as the Institute of Public Health in Heidelberg, which has contributed substantially in terms of research and training for many years now. That is why, with the collaboration of our German partners, we propose to set up 5 centers of excellence in global health across Indonesia, namely in universities which are represented here: Andalas, Diponegoro, Gajah Mada, Mula Warman, and Sudirman. These 5 universities have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish the platform for this consortium. Within this consortium, we shared a common vision, which is evidence-based global health policies. We believe this can be achieved by establishing a network of academic institutions in Indonesia which can deliver high-quality research and training in global health. To do this, we propose to carry out 4 clusters of activities. Number 1, we will upgrade our existing research infrastructure, especially to establish population-wide surveillance sites which will allow us to carry out large long-term studies in global health issues which potentially could generate definitive solutions to global health questions. Number 2, we will also propose to strengthen our research competencies of our faculty members to be able to carry out high-quality research by supporting undertaking of masters, PhDs, and postdocs. Number 3, we would also propose to foster our capacity to disseminate research and also to network so that there should be a strong link between research, policy, and practice. And number 4, last but not least, We would also propose collaborative research to be jointly conducted between the Indonesian and the German partners. We have elaborated these ideas in the proposal which have been distributed today and which have also been submitted recently to be considered for funding under the upcoming scheme of debt swap 2 between Indonesia and Germany. We know, however, that the road to debt swap 2 is a long and winding road. So we would need the advice of His Excellencies and all of the key partners represented here today on how we could move forward strategically and effectively toward debt swap 2. In the meanwhile, however, we know that global health challenges is not going to wait for debt swap 2. It's already here. Climate change, non-communicable disease like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular, chronic respiratory disease is already affecting our population as we speak. So we will not wait for debt swap 2. In the meanwhile, we will already start activities, although it will be just a limited set of activities, such as joint workshop, joint trainings, and so forth, because it will be mainly based on available resources from the 5 universities. As we go along, of course, we would like to tap into other potential sources of funding. Some have been identified. For instance, we would like to tap into possibly the current scheme of debt swap 1. His Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, global health is a complex problem, and academic partnership is an important part of the solutions. Thus, we would like to request your advice and your support so that we could make sure our vision of evidence-based global health policies become a reality for the sake of better health for all of us. Thank you for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. And now we move into the next remarks by the coordinator of IUCGH General Partners.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, the Indonesian Ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency, the German Ambassador to the Republic of Indonesia, rectors, deans, colleagues, students, distinguished guests. Can I have the first slide, please? So I will present you the part that the German consortium is playing in this endeavor. And if you, can I click or will you click? Can you go on clicking? Yeah, you see this is now Heidelberg in the winter, so I was looking already forward to maybe your next visit in the winter time. It's also nice in Heidelberg, although it's cold. So this is the design of our center. It has a kind of Java house design. The roof is global health, as Yodi eloquently demonstrated the importance of global health. And the Indonesian side chose 2 very timely and very innovative areas where the cutting edge of global health research is. One is climate change and health, and one is non-communicable diseases. We believe that in both areas, Germany can make a contribution. If you go on clicking, please. We have now, for a little bit of detail, on the right-hand side you see the topics of climate change and health research. Extreme weather events, of which Indonesia is very well a victim and aware of, will be increased by climate change. Dengue, malaria, asthma, cardiovascular diseases, and malnutrition. So these are the topics that we have selected so far. On the other side, to the left, prevention and care of non-communicable diseases. Germany is well in the transition to non-communicable diseases. It's our main problem, and it is already becoming and already is a main problem in Indonesia. In fact, we had a conference on this topic on Friday last week, and we saw that 60% of deaths in Indonesia are caused by non-communicable diseases and not by the diseases of poverty in inverted commas. Cancer, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and lung disease, they were chosen because they are contingent on 4 risk factors: fat, sugar, lack of activity, physical activity, and high blood pressure. So this is the substance area, and all this is built on a strong foundation in black of research capacity building. And the idea is that we help in training, equipping, and also in maybe suggesting innovative career structures. I will talk a little bit of this, scientific career structures, to our partners here, that we share study cohorts, population-based study cohorts, and of course that we do collaboration, joint proposal development for German, international, and Indonesian funders. And all this is linked, of course, together. We had one presentation on the link between non-communicable diseases on climate change, and all this uses the research capacity which I just described. Okay. The German consortium consists of 3 institutions so far. Maybe others will join, we have to see, but for the moment it's Heidelberg University. We are the consortium leader, as Gadjah Mada is, for the time being, the consortium leader on the Indonesian side. We have some expertise in global health, public health, health and climate change, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and lung disease. And I was very proud to host a delegation of 3 universities, 2 deans and 1 representative of a 3rd university of our consortium here in Indonesia, 2 weeks ago, and we visited the head of cardiovascular diseases. We visited the German Cancer Research Center, which is the next on this. Oh, I was pointing to the screen. Sorry, I'm not a high-tech adept. So the German Cancer Research Center, it's German, it's not Heidelberg University, a very prestigious institution. We met the director, whose name is Wiesler, Mr. Wiesler, but with an IE, and we met him in the delegation. And then the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, which is very well known worldwide, and I have yesterday talked to the ambassador of Indonesia to Germany. He knows very well their work and their work in the IPCC and the climate conference, the COPs. So these are the 3 partners, and you see they fit nicely with the topics that I just outlined, and we hope that this is a really productive collaboration. Sorry, it's the wrong way. The roles and tasks of the German partners, and here we will get a little bit into the challenges already. Training of young Indonesian scientists at the doctoral level, and mind the bracket, comprehensive package, and I will explain what I mean by this. Postdocs, it's a career step that is not yet established in Indonesia, but we would strongly suggest that you create this and help us also train some of your most talented young scientists. And junior research group leaders, that's another step above. And only after that we have the traditional professorial senior scientist level. So we want to help train and build capacity in these 3 career steps. Then an exchange of students, staff, mid-career staff, senior staff, that is a classic ingredient in such a cooperation. And the 3rd point is not so common. The Indonesian side asks us to mirror, to establish the capacity that is established in Germany on these areas, also in the consortium in Indonesia. For example, this large population cohorts. In Germany we have now the German cohort, national cohort. We also have experience with such cohorts in other countries, so that would be one priority. And the Indonesian Climate Research Center could be a big elephant, if you allow me this term, of collaboration if the Potsdam Institute could be sort of transferred in terms of its strategic capacity and scientific skills. And mirroring modern scientific career structures, as I just said, postdoc, junior research groups, and then the joint competitive bidding, because we won't have this money forever. We want to be independent, both sides, so we can only survive with a competitive access to funding resources, of which there are many in the world. The challenges is that funding doctoral training is an old-fashioned business where you only target the person. and give him a ticket, a roof above the head, and something to eat, and the books, maybe a book grant. That is really the old-fashioned stuff which I've been sponsored by DAD. That way, I was very happy. But at my time, already DAD paid the tuition fee for an American university. So we think that it should be more than this. It should be fewer students, but more in-depth and more taking care of one student to make him really a star. So plus funding of the research of the doctoral student in Indonesia, plus specific method training courses, conference attendance, tutorial, administrative support. So a whole package that guarantees that this person becomes a star, maybe a postdoc, and then a researcher here. And as I said, innovative capacity building for junior researchers is the postdoc startup grant. They write their own future, if you like, their own grant and win it and are a postdoc, and these junior groups. Okay, I had this already. And this is it. And we should not forget that we are doing this not for science per se, but for the population, for policy, as Yodi said, but also for the population of Indonesia, for their health. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. And I have, unfortunately, the thank you words never come out. Oh, yeah, I do. And they are moving. So thank you very much indeed, and I'm looking forward to this day of debate.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bobo. And now, last few months, we are going to ask for Dr. Usasmada from his own party.
His Excellency Bapak Edi Pratomo, Ambassador of Republic Indonesia to Germany. His Excellency Bapak George Michel, Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN, but mostly in Jakarta. And honorable guests representing Siomolek, Universitas Andalas, Unsud, Undip, Universitas Mula Warman, and also Pak Atase Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Indonesia untuk Jerman, and distinguished guests and participants. Welcome to Universitas Gadjah Mada. On behalf of Universitas Gadjah Mada, it is a great honor for me of hosting the kick-off meeting of the Inter-University Consortium for the Global Health, and initiated by the 5 universities: Universitas Gadjah Mada, Unan, Undip, Unmul, Unsud, and also supported by the DAD and the Indonesian government, as well as the Germany government, and especially our strategic partner, the Institute of Public Health, Heidelberg University Medical School. And of course, this is we have listened that how important the issues of global health, and this is one of the development of science, but also how we serve for the community. Universitas Gadjah Mada, and I think other universities in Indonesia as well, has a strong commitment of improving the quality of education and developing new knowledge by research, as well as the community services, the 3 pillars of higher education that we try to do our best. And this forum shows us that we have a strong commitment to collaborate and also to generate new knowledge, as well as to improve the quality of education, and at the same time to serve for the better community. However, as has been presented, that we have some challenges that we have to solve. Dr. Yudi has mentioned about the problem of financial support, because the program should be implemented very soon. But the TAP swap 2 will not be available for some time, as far as I understand. So, of course, that we need to solve the problem together. Each university can participate, how we can contribute to have the program can be implemented very soon. But of course, His Excellency Pak Edi Pratomo as well as Bapak Jodwichal, I believe can help us as well how we can solve the problems and so that we can execute our program in the very near future. The contribution of the participant on how we can identify the way we can solve the problem is one of the targets that we need to discuss today. So again, on behalf of Universitas Gadjah Mada, we would like to thank for the support, for the strong commitment to work together to solve a very strategic issues that we have to deal not only in Indonesia but also worldwide. And I know, as Pak Duta Besar Jerman has mentioned, that he visited Indonesia long time ago when he had many times but limited cash. But now, long time ago, not now, but now, backpacker, several decades ago, but now with many cash, but limited time. But hopefully you still have time to enjoy Universitas Gadjah Mada and Yogyakarta, as Pak Edi has enjoyed sate kelada last night. Sate kelada, one of the special food of Yogyakarta. And so hope we still have some time to enjoy UGM and Yogyakarta. Again, thank you very much. Hopefully we have a fruitful collaboration for the development of science and the quality of education and serving for the community. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we proceed to the keynote speeches. First, keynote speaker is His Excellency Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Republic of Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN. I can invite Dr. your speech.
Thank you, terima kasih banyak. Pak Professor Pratikno, Rector of the UGM, Pak Edi Pratomo, my colleague in Berlin, Pak Priyo Brianto, Pak Mahendra Hatta, the coordinator, and of course, lieber Professor Sauerborn, the Deutsche Koordinator, dear deans, directors. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today for the kick-off meeting for the Inter-University Consortium for Global Health. A pleasure even if I had to get up this morning at 4 o'clock, which had been impossible in my younger days when I was traveling with my backpack, because before 10 o'clock in the morning, no life. Nowadays I'm older, but before 5 o'clock in the morning, no life. So it's an early morning adventure, but I'm truly saya senang bahwa saya bisa bicara dengan Anda. Now, looking at the initiative we are inaugurating, kickstarting today, I think it's a very important contribution for the improvement of health services in Indonesia. So I'm very happy that Germany is part of it. As you already mentioned it, Professor Sauerborn, our country is well known for its high standards of medical equipment. It's also known for a pretty well-developed system of screening tests. So there are definitely many opportunities for bilateral cooperation in this area. although if it comes to screening and medical checks, I wonder how many of you are medical doctors or have a medical background. Please raise your hand. Okay, then I will tell you a little story. Years ago, I was supposed to be posted to Slovenia, a tiny little country. I had to undergo medical checks in the foreign ministry. And they told me, oh, there might be a major heart problem with you, so you need to undergo more checks. So I was really very nervous. I went to the hospital. They did all kind of checks on a bicycle, etc. with me. And then the doctor who was checking me came to me with a very sober face, looking more serious like you, Eddie. looking at me, and saying, Mr. Witschel, I tell you something, I give you one recommendation. Keep away from doctors. So I tried that, and still I'm here with many doctors. However, you don't have to check me to examine me, so I'm on safe ground. Now, since I'm not an expert in medicine and global health, I wanted probably to tell you a little bit more about the broad framework of bilateral scientific cooperation between Germany and Indonesia. And if I say so, that is not only a broad framework, it's a broad framework with deep roots, with a very long tradition. In fact, the cooperation in science and technology already started in the 1960s when scientists visited each other, and especially young Indonesians were looking for a challenging environment for their scientific work. Of course, there's one outstanding personality who comes to mind. His name is Bakhrudin Yusuf Habibi, or Rudi Habibi, who studied in the early 1960s in Aachen and made his PhD there in 1965. I was 11 years old there, and he had the PhD already. Now, a little bit later, a few years later, Germany and Indonesia were fast in formalizing the bilateral relations, ST, science and technology relations. So in 1979, a formal agreement was signed by the then Minister for Science and Technology, who of course was Rudi Habibi, and the German Ambassador Schödel. That shows in Indonesia you can make career, you can become minister. When you study, in Germany only ambassador. So chances are definitely better here. So this 1979 agreement listed some areas of cooperation, but even more importantly, it promised to assist and help each other promoting the relations through easy visa and customs regulation. So if I look at some of our problems, or if we together look at some of our problems today to get research permissions or customs clearance, I wonder whether some people in Jakarta have forgotten the 1979 agreement. So we use our drums a little bit and hopefully get the message to Jakarta. Looking at the areas of cooperation, it will come as no surprise to you that they have changed over the last 30 years. At the beginning, the focus was more on big industrial technology, like aerospace, aeroplane, also nuclear energy. During the last 10 to 15 years, however, the soft sciences and environmental issues have started to play a much bigger role. We talk about public health, we talk about changing environment today. In a broader framework, the three main areas of German-Indonesian scientific cooperation are biotechnology and biodiversity, marine science, and forest research. All, of course, linking into each other. Again, no surprise why biodiversity. Indonesia is simply the country of mega, super biodiversity. You have more species of mammals, birds, butterflies, plants than any other country in the world. Indonesia, together with Brazil and Australia, you're one of the top 3 countries with the largest number of endemic species. More than 10,000 plants or plant species are found solely, only, hanya, in Indonesia. So therefore, Indonesia offers a unique opportunity to screen the vast resources of biodiversity, also, not only, also for the development of novel pharmaceutical and industrial compounds. The good thing with biodiversity is, when I talk about 10,000 species, that there is with all likelihood a significant part of native biodiversity which still has to be discovered and documented. The bad side is that due to environmental degradation, to logging, to global warming probably, this rich biodiversity is under permanent threat, and probably some species are being extinct over the days and weeks and months and years we work together. Anyway, Germany and Indonesia have agreed to intensify their cooperation on biodiversity by adopting recently a white paper, Biodiversity and Health, and by identifying joint projects in the coming months. Furthermore, we have a pretty strong cooperation between the Leibniz Center for Biodiversity in Berlin and LIPI on the issue of research collections, which has been already implemented last year by signing a memorandum of understanding. As part, ladies and gentlemen, of cooperation in biotechnology, the cooperation in marine science started back in 2000 with a workshop in Purwakarta. The so-called SPICE program, SPICE stands for Science for the Protection of Indonesian Coastal Water Ecosystems, SPICE, is running now in its 3rd phase. Coral reefs, mangroves, and the role of the ocean as a depository in the CO2, in the carbon dioxide balance, are just a few examples of the work that's being done in that context of SPICE. And I mean, talking about scientific cooperation, you can do a lot of research in Germany, but don't try to do research on mangroves and coral reefs in the Baltic Sea or in the Atlantic. You will definitely fail. So that is why this research cooperation is not just to do something good, but simply because Indonesia is the perfect partner in that context. So we also profit from you. It's vice versa. It's on eye level. Of course, if I talk about scientific cooperation and water, it would not be complete without mentioning the establishment of the tsunami early warning system. If you think back to these horrible days when the tsunami hit Aceh, thousands of people being killed, homeless, a lot of money being mobilized, a lot of help being directed to Aceh, but even more importantly, within a few weeks after the disaster hit, the German government decided together with Indonesia to build up a tsunami early warning system. That was courageous because there was no specific experience on either side with such a system, and yet a consortium of German research institutions started their work with Indonesian partners. At peak times, we had around 100 German scientists working on the project. Until now, some 53 million euros, that is roughly 75 million US dollars, have been spent on the system. Now, spending is one thing, asking for results is another one, and here I come with the results. Today, we have a very sophisticated system in place. I've visited it. It's really fascinating. You have a huge screen there. If you have, let's say, somewhere in Ternate, an earthquake, Richter scale 4.5, you have a small alarm. If it's a specific earthquake, then you have a louder alarm. If there are more earthquakes of a similar magnitude and type in the vicinity, you have a big alarm, and then immediately the computers start calculating, will that be just an earthquake, maybe at a certain depth and of a certain magnitude, or due to its magnitude, the various places and the type of the earthquake, will it cause a tsunami, and if so, where will the tsunami hit? So it's really giving precise information on potential tsunamis for Indonesia, but beyond that, for the neighboring coastal states along the around the Indonesian Ocean, that system also provides quick and reliable data. So really an impressive piece of joint work, and something which has long-lasting, helpful results for Indonesia and for your neighboring coastal states, including, by the way, Sri Lanka, India, so far away on the other side of the Indonesian Ocean. The system works well, and I think we have all reason to be proud of it. From water to steam. I'm a lawyer. I was lousy in chemistry and physics, but I still know that normally at about 100 degrees, water turns into steam. The steam we're talking here about is a bit hotter. Don't touch it, don't try to boil your eggs with it. It's geothermal energy, and Indonesia, sitting on that ring of fire, of course, is a country where you have probably the best conditions worldwide for using geothermal energy. However, Indonesia so far uses only 4% of its existing known geothermal energy resources to produce energy. Therefore, our joint research projects are focusing on the development of new methods to identify sustainable resources and how to use them safely. Both is tremendously important, because if you start drilling, if you start trying to explore or even to exploit, you don't want to waste too much money with drilling done at the wrong place. One drill might be 5 to 10 million US dollars. So yes, you want to make sure that you drill at the right place. And the second, of course, is use it safely. You don't want to have another mud volcano. I think certain figures also known in the political world they won't give a comment on that. So sustainable resources and how to use them safely, that is what we do in the framework of our scientific cooperation with regard to geothermal energy. We also plan to build a pilot power plant in Lahendong in North Sulawesi, so as to combine the drilling with really the application of steam and run a pilot plant in an environmentally friendly but also reliable way. Away from water and steam to something which is very important to probably public health, certainly for climate issues, forest research. Forest research is also an area of intensive German-Indonesian cooperation. It's funded by the German Research Association, and it's focusing on the impact the destruction of natural rainforests has from the angle, from the perspective of natural sciences, but also from the angle, the viewpoint of social science. What does it mean for local population living from the fruits of rainforests, or people living at the banks of a river which comes from a rainforest area, which is then logged so that you have much more mud in the water and finally maybe no more water at all. So both natural sciences and social sciences are looking at the impact of deforestation. In that broad area of water, forest, etc., I would like to mention one more project. Of course, that is not referring to Gajah Mada, and Rector, you will forgive me if I mention it because it's Universitas 11 Maret in Solo. So together with that university and the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, a project on undersurface rivers in Bribin, not far from here, has been developed. It's karst area, so there's not very much surface water. However, there are fast-running undersurface rivers. So in a big cave, the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, together with the university, built in a mid-sized turbine so as to generate enough electricity for about 80,000 people and have enough surplus energy to pump up water and to irrigate the nearby villages, again about 80,000 people, so that they have better harvests despite being in a karst area where the soil is normally quite dry and bad. An interesting project because there are some karst areas here in the vicinity which might be developed together using that technology. Having just mentioned these 3 or 4 areas on our bilateral cooperation, I also would make some comments, remarks on science policy in our countries. And forgive me if they are sometimes somewhat critical. If I am critical, and Paedi, you can confirm that it's not because I'm arrogant, cynical, knowing everything better. Also, my wife tells me always that I know everything better. But because I like to be here in Indonesia. I have a genuine concern for that country. I want Indonesia to move ahead, to get better, because it's a beautiful country with nice people. Now, looking at Indonesia, in the last years, Indonesia has been undertaking some major efforts in developing a national innovation system, and that has to be praised. There's the Comité Inovasi Nasional, which has contributed and is contributing with a variety of proposals. Science indeed has become an important issue in Indonesia, and Germany is a partner in developing more efficient and effective structures in science and innovation. So more than 10 years ago, in 2002, Germany has evaluated the Indonesian scientific architecture or landscape. The so-called periscope study, written by the Fraunhofer Society, included many proposals made to improve the effectiveness of the science, technology, innovation system and to create more synergies. One of the results was the establishment of business technology centers to improve cooperation of science and business, and that will be and remain a key issue for an improved performance of science and technology in the future. Looking at the German side, we are, compared to Indonesia, poor to some extent. We have no oil, no gas, hardly any coal, no gold, no diamonds, no nothing. So we are really forced to use our brains, otherwise we cannot perform successfully on international markets. And that, of course, resulted in the clear need to put significant funding in place to support science and technology. Therefore, the budget of the Federal Ministry for Education and Research was raised in the last years on an average of 9 to 10% every year. So on a whole, even bigger, and still not sufficient, I presume, would be your comment, still not sufficient. I knew it, I'm able to predict the future sometimes, and I do agree. On a whole, Germany is spending now around 2.8% of its gross domestic product on science and technology. Good number, but still below 3%, so insufficient. The equivalent number for Indonesia is officially 0.08% of the gross domestic product, and that leads, to be polite, that leaves room for improvement. I think nobody will contradict here. But there is another point. If we talk about science and technology and innovation, where are Indonesian industry and manufacturing? In Germany, about 2/3 of the S&T, science and technology expenses, come from the private sector. Here in Indonesia, my understanding is that private sector is still very, very low in terms of contributing to what you are doing at the universities, what you are doing in think tanks. So it's also important to bring that message to industry, to society. If you want to build a modern Indonesia, do not stand idle, do not look at the US, Australia, Germany, do it here, but also pay for it. No science without money. A third important element, which I should stress, is that international cooperation in science and technology, international S&T cooperation, is very important and has been very important for Germany. It's a main pillar of Germany's science policy. Therefore, already in 2008, the German cabinet approved a strategy on internationalization in science and technology. And at center point is the cooperation with emerging and developing countries, especially in Asia. Again, that is not charity. That is not because we Germans are so good, etc. We are maybe not bad, but we do it because we believe it's also helpful for us. It's helpful for others, but helpful for us. Why? Because Asia is one of the most dynamic areas in the world, not only in economic, but also in scientific terms. So a lot is going on here. If you talk about, ladies and gentlemen, science and technology, research, penelitian, then of course you must not forget education, pendidikan. No good science without good education. And here, of course, we need and we should mention the German Academic Exchange Service, the DAAD, Dr. Janssen in Jakarta. So the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, is offering a wide variety of master and PhD scholarships for Indonesian students in Germany, by the way, both in English and in German. So it's the main actor in the field of education worldwide. Currently, there are about 2,500 students from Indonesia studying in Germany. This number has been constant, maybe slightly increasing over the last years. However, it's much less than the 10 to 15,000 Indonesians studying in Germany we had in the era of former President and Minister Habibie. Yet 2,500 is a good number. It's the largest number of Indonesian students in Europe, so we are ahead of the Netherlands, of the UK, of France. However, we have to compete with Australia, Japan, China, Korea, US, not easy, and therefore we work hard to increase that number. Both of us, Paedi and I, we have been obliged by my big boss, Chancellor Merkel, your big boss, Bapak President SPW, to increase the number of Indonesian students in Germany and German students in Indonesia. Of course, Bapak President thinks mainly about engineering, but maybe there's a bit of room for medical and other purposes, maybe even lawyers, Dr. Wagenknecht. So more should be done in order to bring more students to Indonesia and to Germany. Of great help in that context might be the role of the about 30,000 Indonesian alumni who have studied in Germany and returned to Indonesia. They are important bridge builders. They are important competitors of us in terms of being ambassadors of our country to the other side. So we like to work with our alumni, and we know to appreciate their role to bring our two countries and academic societies together. It goes without saying that somebody who an Indonesian studying in Germany has a very good chance to have later on a well-paid job both in Germany and in Indonesia. We believe in brain gain, not brain drain. In most cases, you will see that people go for some years to Germany, return to Indonesia, and normally it's a good story for both countries and for the people involved. In terms of course, advertising, informing young students what they could do, be it students or postgrads or doctoral students or so, the German Academic Exchange Service is doing individual counseling. They are doing major events at universities. We participate in the European Fair of Higher Education taking place in Surabaya on the 9th of October and in Jakarta on the 12th and 13th October. There are manifold websites in that context, so do not hesitate to ask us or the German Academic Exchange Service if it comes to sending students, to sending graduates to Germany. We always try to help. I will stop here, thanking you for listening so carefully. Maybe finishing with one kind of commitment and final word. Scientific cooperation is one of the three main pillars of cooperation. So it's not only investment, business, it's not only politics. Science is a central pillar and we should develop it further. So terima kasih banyak dan cukup untuk saya.
Now let's literally move to the last keynote speech, which will be delivered by His Excellency Ambassador of Indonesia to the Federal Republic of Germany, and Candidate Dr.
Terima kasih Bapak Moderator, Pak Rektor yang saya hormati, Distinguished Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, my colleague, Ambassador Witschel, and representative of the Siamolek, Professor Soundborn of the Heidelberg University, and distinguished representatives of Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, Universitas Andalas, Universitas Diponegoro, dan Universitas Mula Warman. The distinguished members of the faculty, dear participants, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm also feeling quite happy this morning to be here with my close friend, my colleague, Pak Dubes Witschel. We met in Berlin last month, and we have a commitment to come together at this very prestigious university, Universitas Gadjah Mada di Yogyakarta. Pak Rektor, I think the Embassy of Indonesia in Germany is quite ready, and we welcome very much the shaping of this cohesive grouping at the academic level to pull the wide-ranging expertise of the 5 excellent institutions of higher learning of those 5 universities. I'm quite confident that the synergy effect generated by bundling the academic prowess of these 5 universities will widen the horizons and scope of scientific, technical and managerial capacities of the Indonesian healthcare system to benefit and uphold not only tidak hanya the health of our fellow Indonesians, but also to contribute to the healthcare around the globe. Pak Witschel has mentioned many projects of our bilateral cooperations, and I would like only just to add several substance of the other coins of our bilateral relations on health sector especially. I think there are many priorities on our cooperation between Germany and Indonesia. We are now implementing the comprehensive partnership that we have already signed in Jakarta last July 2012 by Chancellor Merkel and Bapak Presiden Yudhoyono, and the designation of the health sector as one of the priority sectors of our bilateral cooperations, which also include economy, We have also cooperation in trade and investments. Education has been mentioned also as a priority, and science and technology, as you mentioned. And defense, as well as food security, energy security, and transportation has illustrated very well the importance and urgency the government of Indonesia attaches to the upgrading of the existing healthcare system of Indonesia. The Jakarta Declaration that we have signed has focused the Indonesian-German cooperations in the health sector on health equipment industry and technology, hospital management, healthcare, traditional medicine, and the development of capacity, insurance, and standardization of healthcare and food. I express my confidence that the Inter-University Consortium for Global Health will greatly contribute to achieving these goals set by the Jakarta Declarations. We have been having many meetings between the Gagas Lab and Spectaris. Gagas Lab stand for the Federation of Indonesian Healthcare Equipment Manufacturers, and Spectaris is German healthcare equipment manufacturers. They have been collaborating each other, and they have signed already the letter of intent or MOU to do more collaborations on those fields. And the Embassy of Indonesia in Berlin has been exerting its efforts in recent years to establish 7 centers of excellence as part of the partnership program between institutions of higher learning and research of both Indonesia and Germany. I would like to commend the creation of these institutes of public health established by Universitas Gadjah Mada and its partners. I express my hope that the academic expertise and knowledge of the 3 excellent universities, or 5 excellent universities in Indonesia and in Germany, especially Professor Renner, pool in this fine institute will also serve to enhance the Indonesian-German cooperation in the health sector. It also pleases me very much to impart to you that the Ministry of Health of Indonesia, by the facilitation of the embassy in Berlin, has just conducted a workshop on healthcare with German stakeholders. It was in August this year in Jakarta, and during that meeting, the Indonesian side laid out a blueprint for future cooperation as a proposal with the German partners. This blueprint mainly focuses its attention, among others, on human resources development and telemedicine or e-health system, creation of center of excellence for services for the treatment of cancer, neuromedicine, cardiovascular diseases, psychological illness, and lung illnesses through exchange of expert and managerial staff. Germany, on the other hand, offered assistance to Indonesia in the planning of hospitals, management of hospitals, telemedicine, e-health, and also to support the national resilience of medical devices. On the sidelines of the visit by President Yudhoyono only last March this year, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Indonesia, Kadin, had organized also a meeting with German counterparts to identify further potential areas of cooperation in the health sector, which could be explored and expanded in the very near future. And during that meeting, Kadin has forwarded a proposal to develop a German hospital in Indonesia. This is one thing that we are waiting for quite a long time, which could maybe become a test bed for pilot project for the application of modern German health technology. And within this context, the Embassy of Indonesia in Berlin has actively promoted a training program for the Indonesian nurses in Germany. This is a stepping stone to fathom the possibilities of entering into the labor market in Germany, especially in health sector, which is quite still very difficult to enter to the German market. It was in the month of May to July this year that 8 nurses from Tasikmalaya, West Java, have participated in training course at hospital in 3 German cities. And upon completion of the courses, 2 of these nurses were selected for the on-the-job training program lasting 9 months. So this is quite important for the nurses of Indonesia, especially from Tasikmalaya. They are then slated to be given a contract for a certain period to serve as nurses at the Marine House Klinikum in Germany. And with the current demand for about 2,000 nurses in the German hospital system, this nurse training program is one of the success stories in the Indonesian-German cooperation in the health sector. Bearing in mind that the German healthcare sector is considered to be difficult to enter for non-European Union countries, I have no doubt that this success will be a departing point for Indonesian nurses to enter the German healthcare market. So this is something which is I need to discuss further with my colleague, Ambassador Wissel, for similar program in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indonesian-German bilateral relations have evolved from mutual cooperation to equal partnership, or we call it from friendship to partnership, during the 61 years of official relations. We established the German relation was in 1952. At the same time, we construct this building, the Gajah Mada main building was also inaugurated in 1952. And many have been achieved in all fields of interactions between our 2 countries through constructive and prudent efforts by both Indonesian and German stakeholders. Devising the future of this fruitful cooperation now to be continued in the architecture of comprehensive partnership, we seek for new avenues to catapult the cooperation to a higher trajectory. The cooperation, the constitution of this inter-university consortium for global health marks one of the cornerstones of our continued efforts to further enhance these constructive cooperations. And I'm quite confident that this distinguished grouping of academics and experts as well as of professional administrators will contribute not only to upgrading and fostering healthcare in Indonesia, where millions of Indonesians will stand to benefit. Much more than that, the very foundation of the Indonesian-German cooperation in the health sector has been bolstered by the establishment of this consortium. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the Inter-University Consortium for Global Health, to its founding members of all its academics, experts, and technicians and administrators for their thoughtful efforts and prudent guidance to improve the situation of healthcare in Indonesia. And I express my fervent hope, and at the same time I'm very much convinced that the Inter-University Consortium will pave the way for the incorporation of modern, state-of-the-art German technology and know-how in healthcare to the Indonesian healthcare system. I would like to conclude my remarks by once again thanking the cooperation that has already been made by those 5 universities with the University of Heidelberg, and we do hope that in the near future both embassies of Indonesia in Germany and the embassy of Germany in Jakarta could have and should continue the facilitations of those cooperation, especially in the health sector. I wish you all the best, and I thank you very much once again. Terima kasih. Vielen Dank.
Thank you very much, Pak Edi, and ladies and gentlemen, before we have